Hi everybody, and welcome to the retroactive MCU Review Omnibus Collection. Yes, Omnibus Collection. Let's revisit the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1 movies reviews. What we liked, what we didn't like. Watch the evolution from humble beginnings to a full-blown money-printing franchise. So, hop on the bus and let's begin!
I am Iron Man.
Iron Man is a 2008 superhero film directed by Jon Favreau and starring Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, a wealthy and brilliant inventor who builds a high-tech suit of armor to become a superhero. The film was critical and commercial success and kick-started the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, which has since become one of the most successful film franchises in history. The film's opening scene sets the tone for the rest of the movie. Tony Stark is riding a military convoy in Afghanistan when the convoy is attacked by terrorists. Stark is captured and forced to build a weapon for the terrorists, but instead he builds a suit of armor and he uses that to escape. This scene showcases the film's fast-paced action and introduces us to the character of Tony Stark, who is witty, charismatic, and unapologetically arrogant. So as the plot goes, Tony returns to the US and refines his suit of armor, becoming the vigilante Iron Man. However, he soon realizes that his business partner Obadiah Stane is using Stark Industries' weapon to fuel terrorism. Tony faces off against Obadiah in an epic battle that ends with Iron Man emerging victorious. Spoiler alert? Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark. He perfectly captures the character's swagger and charm while also conveying his vulnerabilities and flaws. The film's supporting cast is equally strong, with Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, Tony's loyal assistant, soon to become love interest, and Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane, Tony's business partner turned villain, which in days will turn into one of the lower ranking villains in the grand MCU. We also get to meet Agent Phil Coulson for the first time, a character which becomes the connective tissue across Phase 1 movies. And on a side note, I was a big fan of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was a good show. The film's special effects are impressive, especially for 2008, in particular all scenes involving the Iron Man suit, from its creation to its display of powers. The suit looks slick and futuristic. It did justice to its comic counterpart. We see what the suit can do, and it looks amazing. One of the most significant implications of Iron Man on the MCU is that it establishes the Marvel formula and has become a staple of the franchise. The film combines action, humor, and heart, and sets up the larger world of the MCU. The idea of post-credit scenes is introduced in Iron Man, which has become a hallmark of Marvel movies. Additionally, this movie is where the legendary term Easter eggs was coined, or at the very least was made extremely popular and important. Well, we all love Easter eggs, so just to name a few, we see a replica of Captain America's shield in the background of Tony Stark's workshop. A team-up foreshadowing, perhaps? This was a subtle nod to the larger Marvel universe and Captain America's eventual role in the MCU. As well as the highly memorable Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, who appears and hints at the existence of a larger superhero universe with now the infamous end credit scene. Mr. Stark, you've become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet. Boom! This was a tease for what would potentially come next. Another Easter egg highlight for me was the Ten Rings. The terrorist group that captures Tony Stark in the film is called the Ten Rings. This is a reference to the Mandarin, one of Iron Man's arch-enemies in the comics, who has the 10 Rings of Power, which we see in full effect in Shang-Chi 13 years later. It's all connected. And also to a lesser degree, something I noticed, this movie marks the string of Iron Man standalone movies where Tony doesn't really take down the baddie by himself, which is just a curious thought. We will probably revisit that as we review Iron Man 2 and 3 down the road, as in this case it's Pepper with the assist. Iron Man grossed close to $600 million worldwide, which at the time was deemed highly positive and successful. No offense, Ant-Man. Overall, Iron Man is an entertaining and well-crafted superhero movie that launched a franchise that has since become a pop culture phenomenon. The success of Iron Man paved the way for future MCU films up to the climax of the Avengers. There could be only one first MCU movie, and Iron Man was it. Robert Downey Jr.'s standout performance as Tony Stark, thrilling action sequences, and impressive special effects all contribute to a movie that is both fun and significant in the context of the larger MCU. By defeating Stain, aka the Ironmonger, and taking accountability for his actions, Tony begins to develop a sense of responsibility and a desire to use his skills and resources to help others, setting the stage for his future adventures as Iron Man. The film ends with Tony's epic words, "I am Iron Man," and the rest was history. The Incredible Hulk, the forgotten MCU movie. The Incredible Hulk is a 2008 superhero movie directed by Louis Leterrier and stars Edward Norton, remember him? As Bruce Banner, Liv Tyler as Betty Ross, Tim Roth as Emil Blonsky, and William Hurt, R.I.P., as General Ross. This is the second installment of the MCU and is a kinda reboot, kinda sequel, maybe, of the Hulk franchise following the 2003 film Hulk. The movie begins with Bruce Banner, a brilliant scientist who has been on the run from the US military for 5 years, after an experiment gone wrong turned him into the Hulk. Banner is trying to find a cure for his Hulk condition while hiding from General Thaddeus Ross, played by William Hurt, who wants to capture him and use his power for military purposes. Banner is living in Brazil, working in a bottling factory where he is discovered by Ross's men, and a chase ensues. Banner manages to escape but soon realizes that his blood sample has been stolen. This blood sample is crucial to finding a cure for his condition, but Banner knows that Ross will use it to create a super soldier. Banner returns to the United States to retrieve his blood sample, and he reunites with his former girlfriend, Betty Ross. Meanwhile, Ross has recruited Emil Blonsky, a British Royal Marine, to capture Banner. Blonsky undergoes an experimental procedure that gives him superhuman strength, but the process also drives him insane, as he becomes the Abomination. The final battle takes place in New York City, as always, where the Hulk fights the Abomination. It was a cool fight. They completely wrecked Harlem. The Hulk finally smashes a few cars on top of Blonsky and wins the battle. He then flees the city, knowing that he can never be truly free. Cue the music. The Incredible Hulk was an interesting movie for the MCU. The movie establishes the Hulk as a force to be reckoned with, a troubled powerhouse whose presence will be felt throughout the MCU. It also introduces the character of General Ross, who later appears in Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War, Black Widow, and will have a major role in Captain America's New World Order. The movie also features a cameo from Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, who offers to help Banner with his condition. This sets the stage for the Avengers movie, where the two characters meet again. And overall, it gives a unique importance to the post and end credit scenes as connecting the dots within the greater Marvel universe. The movie was released on June 13th, 2008 and grossed over $263 million worldwide, but to mixed reviews. Some praised the movie for its action sequences, character development, and ties to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, others criticized it for lacking a coherent plot. This movie is not well remembered, or even remembered at all. The forgotten MCU movie, you say? And also, Edward Norton was not long for the MCU. For the benefit of this movie, we can say we get the classic Rage Monster Hulk version, rather than the Professor Hulk, Best of Both Worlds Hulk, Sideshow Hulk that we get in the later films. Overall, the Incredible Hulk may not be considered as one of the strongest entries in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it remains an important part of the franchise history and provides an entertaining introduction to the Hulk as a character.
Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to exit the donut.
Directed by Jon Favreau. Hi Tony! Iron Man 2 was released in 2010 and is the third film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It stars Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, a genius billionaire who created the Iron Man suit and stole our hearts. In Iron Man 2, Tony Stark is faced with multiple challenges, both personal and professional. The government is pressuring him to turn over his Iron Man technology after Tony successfully privatized world peace. And a rival inventor, Justin Hammer, played by Sam Rockwell, is trying to replicate his suits, his own Hammer tech. Stark is struggling with his own mortality due to the palladium core in his chest, which is slowly poisoning him. Oh no! So Tony goes heavy on the juicer. To make matters worse, after all this is a superhero film, a new villain arises, Ivan Vanko, played by Mickey Rourke. Ivan Vanko emerges with a grudge against the Stark family. Vanko, who is the son of a former colleague of Tony's father, has built his own suit that can harness electricity. He seeks revenge on the Stark family for perceived wrongs and sets out to destroy Tony. In all of that, Stark is also dealing with personal issues, drinking issues. He is at odds with his best friend Rhodey, now played by Don Cheadle, who has taken one of Tony's Iron Man suits to the military and would turn it into the War Machine. Oh my god! And we get to see further development in Tony's relationship with Pepper Potts and a heartfelt perspective on his relationship with his father. Iron Man 2 was a box office success, grossing over $623 million worldwide. However, it was not received quite as well as its predecessor, Iron Man. Nonetheless, the film's success solidified the MCU as a major player in the world of cinema and set the stage for future Marvel movies. Iron Man 2 received mixed reviews from critics upon its release. While many praised Robert Downey Jr.'s performance as Tony Stark, some criticized the movie for being too convoluted and overstuffed with characters and storyline. Vanko, much like the Ironmonger in Iron Man 1, does not rank highly in the all-time greatest villains of the MCU. The film marked the first appearance of Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, played by Scarlett Johansson, our beloved future Avenger, which really made a splash in her debut. We also get to further the dynamic between Tony, Nick Fury, and S.H.I.E.L.D. overall. The idea of the Avengers initiative is now fully introduced and give us a wink wink towards the future, which would eventually lead to the formation of the Avengers and the role Nick Fury will play in it. Additionally, it sets the stage for the next Iron Man movie, which would delve deeper into Tony's personal struggles and his relationship with Pepper. I personally enjoyed the dynamic between Rhodey and Tony. The fact that we further established the S.H.I.E.L.D. involvement and storylines and gotta put some Avengers puzzle pieces on the table in the form of Black Widow were all great for me. Vanko and Hammer were no thrilling villains, but the story worked out in the end. And the "Sir, I'd have to ask you to exit the donut" scene was a true classic. And much like in the first Iron Man, Tony doesn't take down the baddie by himself, but this time he gets an assist from Rhodey, War Machine. They use their combined might to Iron Man 2? Hey, wait a minute. They use their combined might to take down Ivan Vanko and save the day. Iron Man 2 is packed with Easter eggs and references that hint at future movies and comics. For instance, in order to create the new element to potentially save his life, Tony's using the Captain America replica shield to give him the necessary support to point the beam thingy where it needed to go. Talk about heavy foreshadowing, especially as Captain America, the first Avenger, was in the works and would be released the following year. This is a famous one. In a scene where Nick Fury shows Tony a map of global threats, we see Tony Stark's Malibu home, which we see in Iron Man 3. New York City, perhaps a reference to the Hulk battle with the Abomination. New Mexico is a clear reference to the Mjolnir impact site from Thor. Greenland, where Captain America is currently frozen. Norway, perhaps a nod to Thor. Wakanda, well, you know who lives there.
Wakanda
And
forever.
Atlantis. Namor? Maybe? Which is a bit of a stretch. This movie acts as a shout out to one of Iron Man's most famous comics, Demon in a Bottle, where we go in depth on Tony's alcoholism. These Easter eggs and references may seem small, but they demonstrate the attention to detail and planning that went into building the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is greatly rewarding to die-hard fans. Iron Man 2 may not be as strong and well received as its predecessor, but it still delivers a thrilling and entertaining superhero adventure. The introduction of key characters and concept builds towards future Marvel movies and delivers a continuation to the overall story arc. Iron Man 2 is a solid addition to the Marvel canon, and I would definitely recommend it.
Your ancestors called it magic, and you call it science. Well, I come from a place where they're one and the same thing.
Thor, directed by Kenneth Branagh. This is the fourth movie in the MCU, released in 2011, starring the mighty Chris Hemsworth as our hammer-wielding God of Thunder. In Thor, we're introduced into the majestic world of Asgard, where Thor, his mischievous brother Loki, and their powerful father, the All-Father, Odin, reside. But when Thor's arrogance leads to a war with the Frost Giants, he gets a one-way ticket to Earth, stripped of his hammer and powers and feeling pretty helpless. Crash! Thor gets hit by a car and finds himself taken in by a group of scientists, including Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman, along with Darcy and Dr. Selvig, who are studying a mysterious phenomenon that turns out to be Thor traveling through the Bifrost. As Thor adjusts to his new life on Earth, he questions his worthiness, while Jane discovers that magic's just science we don't understand yet. But hold up! Loki's up to no good! He takes control of Asgard and plans to destroy their home planet. It's up to Thor to reclaim his mighty hammer, which no one else can lift because they're not worthy, and save his people with Jane and her team's help. Thor embarks on a dangerous journey to restore peace in the Nine Realms. Thor achieved a moderate box office success, making over $449 million worldwide. It may not have smashed records, but it solidified the God of Thunder's position in the Marvel Universe. The movie balances action and humor well, with impressive special effects and thrilling fight scenes. The appearance of the Destroyer, a formidable weapon created by Odin to keep Asgard safe, controlled now by Loki, looked great, slapping Thor back to worthiness. Thor is filled with Easter eggs and references that delighted fans like me and you, and hinted at the larger Marvel universe. One notable Easter egg is the appearance of Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner, who makes a brief cameo as S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Additionally, the film features an early glimpse of the Infinity Gauntlet, an important artifact that will later play a central role in the overarching MCU narrative. But I don't think it was really important at the time. Plus, this one in the movie turned out to be a fake. This movie introduced key characters and concepts that had a lasting impact on the MCU. We got a taste of the Nine Realms and established Thor as a powerful Avenger. The strongest Avenger? Plus, the Tesseract made its debut in the post-credit scene, becoming a major plot point in future Marvel movies. We get Agent Phil Coulson back to further connect the universe, which is interesting because this movie takes place in the same week as Iron Man 2 and the Incredible Hulk. We also get Thor's buddies, Lady Sif and the Warrior 3. And let's not forget about Loki. He became one of the MCU's most iconic characters, with his complicated relationship with Thor and his relentless pursuit of power. The dynamic between Thor and Loki really stood out in this movie. Chris Hemsworth's portrayal of Thor was widely praised for his charm and physicality. The film's visual effects and the grandeur of Asgard were also hailed as impressive, and really anything with Thor and Loki was a standout. The romance between Thor and Jane Foster felt underdeveloped, and some supporting characters lacked depth. And also, the fact we introduce Thor, a demigod, where in most of the movie is powerless, although that's a key part of the storyline, I felt it took away from the movie.
You're gonna need a rain check on that dance.
The man out of time himself, Captain America, the first Avenger. Captain America the First Avenger was released in 2011, directed by Joe Johnston, and it is the fifth film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Starring Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, this film serves as the origin for the iconic superhero, Captain America. Our story begins during World War II, where we meet Steve Rogers, a young man with a strong desire to serve his country. However, due to his small stature and various health issues, he is repeatedly rejected from enlisting to the military. Determined to contribute, Steve participates in an experimental procedure that transforms him into a super soldier, giving him enhanced strength and agility. Steve Rogers was selected not because he was strong, but because Steve Rogers was a good person. As Captain America, Steve joins forces with Peggy Carter, played by Hayley Atwell, and that version of Howard Stark, played by Dominic Cooper, to stop the nefarious Red Skull, played by Hugo Weaving, leader of the villainous organization Hydra. Red Skull plans to harness the power of the Tesseract, an otherworldly artifact, probably not written as an Infinity Stone at the time, to bring about world domination. Captain America the First Avenger was a moderate box office success, if we're being kind about it, grossing over $370 million worldwide. While it didn't achieve the massive numbers of some of the other MCU films, its critical reception was generally positive, and it set the stage for the character's future appearances in the Marvel Universe. Captain America, the First Avenger, stands out as a period piece within the MCU, capturing the nostalgic essence of World War II. The film successfully establishes Steve Rogers' transformation from a weak but determined individual into the super-powered and heroic Captain America. The movie showcases Steve's unwavering sense of justice and moral compass. Chris Evans delivers a remarkable performance, portraying Steve Rogers with depth, vulnerability, and integrity. The period settings adds a unique flavor to the story, and the production design and costumes effectively transport the audience to the 1940s. However, towards the third act, it ramps up the excitement and tension in a cinematic battle against Red Skull. A great looking fight with incredible special effects. However, it takes you out of the 1940s and into the 2000s CGI-filled world. The film's pacing can be a bit uneven, with a slower build-up in the first act. However, all this backstory would eventually pay off in future films. One of the most significant aspects of this film is the deep bond between Steve Rogers and his best buddy, Bucky Barnes. Their relationship serves as a driving force throughout the film, and I think you already know what it would mean to the greater Marvel Universe. Initially, Bucky is Steve's best friend and ally, supporting him in both his pre-super soldier days and after his transformation. During the final mission, Bucky is seemingly killed, falling off a speeding train into the abyss, ouch, leaving Steve devastated. This loss fuels Steve's determination to fight against Hydra and protect those he cares about. The bond between Cap and Bucky represents the enduring power of friendship and loyalty. Their story continues to unfold in subsequent films. In the film, we are introduced to Howard Stark, Tony Stark's father. This connection establishes a link between Captain America and Iron Man. And we get the origins of Cap's shield and the foundation of the actual SHIELD agency. The Tesseract is featured prominently in the film, eventually to be revealed to be an Infinity Stone, which again, I don't think that was the idea at the time. And a massive shout out to Dum Dum Dugan and the Howling Commandos as Cap's running buddies. Captain America, the first Avenger, utilized impressive special effects, particularly in the transformation of Steve Rogers from a short, physically weak individual to a tall, muscular super soldier. The film employed a combination of practical effects, prosthetics, and CGI to achieve this visual transformation. In the end, Cap makes the ultimate sacrifice by crashing an aircraft to prevent its deadly weapons from causing harm, and never getting that dance in the process. Only to be awakened 70 years later to a brand new world as a man out of time. And Red Skull? I guess he got beamed to Vormir, right? Captain America, the first Avenger, not only presents a captivating origin story for the iconic superhero, but also includes intriguing Easter eggs that expands the MCU's reach. Additionally, the film highlights the profound friendship between Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes, placing the building blocks for their complex journey in the future films. This film is most likely the least regarded film of the Captain America franchise, but with its blend of action, heart, and significant connection to the larger MCU, Captain America, the first Avenger, remains a cornerstone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Man, what are we, a team? No, we're a chemical mixture that makes chaos. We're a time bomb.
It's here! It's here! The culmination of Phase 1, The Avengers. Marvel's The Avengers was released in 2012, and it is the 6th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Directed by Joss Whedon, this superhero ensemble film brought together the iconic Marvel characters including Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye. Yes, Hawkeye. World faces a formidable threat when Loki, not dead yet, Thor's adopted brother and the god of mischief, arrives on Earth to steal the Tesseract, a cube housing a powerful Infinity Stone, the Space Stone, from the SHIELD headquarters. Loki seeks to conquer the planet and uses the powerful Tesseract to open a portal that brings forth an alien army known as the Chitauri. Enter Nick Fury, director of SHIELD. It's time to assemble! We've got Tony Stark, the genius billionaire playboy philanthropist. There's Steve Rogers, the patriotic super soldier, still trying to figure out how the heck he ended up in modern times. Thor, the hammer-wielding god of thunder, shows up because he's got some family issues to sort out. Everybody's favorite angry green monster, the Hulk, as Bruce Banner was called in to help locate the Tesseract due to its gamma radiation emission. And let's not forget about Natasha Romanoff and Clint Barton, aka Black Widow and Hawkeye, who prove that you don't need superpowers to kick some behind. Despite their initial conflicts and differences, the team must come together to stop Loki's destructive plans and save humanity. The chaos erupts as Loki unleashed the Chitauri on New York City. As buildings crumbled and the city burned, the Avengers sprung into action. Iron Man soared through the sky, blasting Chitauri left and right. Captain America led the charge on the ground, rallying both civilians and fellow heroes to fight back against the alien invasion. Thor summoned bolts of lightning to strike down wave after wave of Chitauri soldiers, and the Hulk smashed. And also Black Widow and Hawkeye were there too. Marvel's The Avengers was a massive box office success, grossing over $1.5 billion worldwide. It became one of the highest grossing films of all time at the time of its release, solidifying the success of the MCU and setting a new standard for superhero ensemble movies. Yeah! Now, let's connect the dots. Marvel's The Avengers serves as a culmination of Phase 1 films and establishes a foundation for the interconnected storytelling in the MCU. It builds upon the events and characters from the preceding films, just to name a few. Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., who appears in each film. Well, did he appear in Thor? Quietly recruiting and assembling heroes. The Tesseract, the powerful artifact housing the Space Stone, is introduced in Captain America the First Avenger and becomes a major plot point in The Avengers. Loki, Thor's adopted brother, plays a significant role in Thor and re-emerges as the primary antagonist in The Avengers. And Agent Coulson, a recurring character in the Phase 1 films, serves as a connecting thread, appearing in various capacities and linking between the heroes, eventually to serve as the push the Avengers needed to come together. This day puts a smile on my face, because Thanos is revealed for the first time in the mid-credit scene. And if we mention the Mad Titan, let's address the Infinity Stones connection. As we know, it would be later revealed that both the Tesseract and Loki's scepters are in fact Infinity Stones, the Space Stone and the Mind Stone. I really don't think that was the case at the time. What was the logic by Thanos giving away the Mind Stone to Loki just like that? So Loki could deliver him the Tesseract, aka the Space Stone, and would rule Earth as a reward. It seems a bit far-fetched with the benefit of hindsight, and completely unbalanced. And we know now Thanos is all about the balance. The film excels in capturing the dynamic and often conflicting personalities of the characters, leading to memorable interactions, and who can forget the most memorable of them all? Shawarma, anybody? No ketchup on the shawarma! The climatic battle of New York showcases the Avengers' teamwork and individual strength, creating a groundbreaking, satisfying conclusion. Without fear, and with great determination, Tony flies high into the sky, carrying a nuclear missile that was headed for New York. As he races towards the wormhole, he knows that there may not be a way back. Tony is willing to make the ultimate sacrifice to protect Earth and his newfound friends. As Tony nears the wormhole, he guides the missile directly into the Chitauri mothership, which instantly eradicates the Chitauri threat. Tony's sacrifice is a powerful moment, not only because he risks his own life, but also it represents the growth of his character. Tony has evolved into a hero willing to put everything on the line for the greater good. He fell back to New York through the wormhole, and he wasn't slowing down, but his teammates were there to catch him. Oh, that team shot! The spinning shot, the money shot. United and ready to face whatever threats may come their way. It symbolizes the birth of the Avengers as a cohesive unit, laying the groundwork for future adventures and signaling the start of a new era in the MCU. The film's ending offers glimpses of the individual characters' journeys beyond the battle. Thor returns to Asgard with Loki in custody for further Dark World cosmic adventures. Steve Rogers continues to adapt to the modern world, carrying the weight of his past and embracing his role as a leader. And Bruce Banner, further attempting to harness and control his transformation into the Hulk. But this would also raise the question, why aren't the Avengers helping each other in the subsequent films? I will address that aspect as we continue our march through the MCU. Marvel's The Avengers is a monumental achievement in the superhero genre, successfully uniting multiple beloved characters and setting the stage for the expansive universe of the MCU. With its engaging story, impressive action sequences, and seamless interconnectivity, this film solidified the success of the MCU and set the bar sky high for future superhero movies.
Well, that's it for today, folks! Thank you so much for watching! The Omnibus has reached its destination, but we'll be back with more retroactive MCU review, the Omnibus edition. Be sure to like this video, share your comments down below, and subscribe to Mr. Boring, because that is what heroes do. And who knows, you can even share this video with your best friends and bitter enemies. And as always, you can check out some more boring videos right now.